was the latest one or the last one? Or was it Garou and Metal Bat? All right, let's do that. Current Garou versus current Metal Bat.
Oh, sure, we can talk about that. Do you want to make your who wants to go first?
All right, well, so.
Oh yeah, before you start, sorry if I like accidentally interrupt you, because sometimes I don't know, like I have trouble figuring out when people are finishing talking or not. I'm just sorry in advance.
Good, bro. Just let it flow.
All right, cool.
So obviously, Garou has the upper hand here, right?
Yeah, Garou has a pretty clear upper hand.
So my basis is to argue that from what we have so far, I believe that Metal Bat has a chance. Maybe not a chance to win. I do believe it's possible, but I think it's more likely that he can like last a long time. It would actually be a great fight. Give me 1 second. I gotta get this dog.
No problem.
So I'm gonna argue for the win. That's what I'm trying to do. But
Okay.
just want to let you know that the basis of this is to be like factual and truthful, not necessarily trolling, but do whatever you want, you know. So
Yeah, don't worry.
let's begin then. I think a lot of it hinges on the first attack or the first sequence. In the explanation I gave you earlier, I mentioned Pooty Pooty as a reference point. Now, it's a little iffy because from the beginning of the Darkshine fight to the end of the Darkshine fight, Garou clearly got stronger. And we don't know what his current power level is. So all we can really do is just take his value at the end of the fight, like when Darkshine got up and ended up leaving. So if Pooty Pooty managed to like take one flurry from him, and it wasn't like an extended flurry, it was kind of like a 5 or 6 hit combo, like if you count the little explosion designs that were on the page drawn or whatever.
It's kind of like Garou just flailing at him, basically. It was just like a flail at him, basically.
Well, it was one of the strongest flails you've ever seen. So
Yeah.
to have Pooty tank that, and then not necessarily even tank, he was on the ground, but he survived it. Now he's back up, and he's actually pretty much fine. Normally, if it was a situation like that where he was just down and out, I wouldn't expect him to come back into the fight. I don't even think he came back into the fight after the deep sea occasion. So he's definitely grown in durability, which is more of a testament to the situation that I'm talking about. If a guy is durable, who's proven his durability like Pooty Pooty, with one flurry from a sleeping Garou, a new guy who we hadn't seen since the last Orochi encounter, he took that, he survived it, and now he's fine. So I'm simply implying that if the current Garou were to get off a flurry on Metal Bat, just the first one, I don't think he would be able to one-shot it. I think the fact that we saw the Senior Centipede beating him down with the Raphosidian, poisoning him, trying to slow him out, like, there's not much you can do to really take out Metal Bat in one hit. Even EC smacked him across the city and he was fine. So I have no inclination to believe that, like, just because Garou's reached this higher level of power, that like he would just be able to just one shot or take out Metal Bat in one hit or one sequence. I think Metal Bat has at least the credibility in durability to withstand quite a bit of damage.
Is that your like first part then?
Yeah, that sounds like my yeah. What's yours?
Okay, so my basis is that we've seen Garou and Metal Bat fight before, and you would agree Garou was the winning combatant in that fight, even if Metal Bat was able to like tank everything he was throwing at him. Garou was like strong enough to like hurt Metal Bat, draw blood, and he was the dominant participant in that fight, right?
What am I agreeing to exactly? Because you mentioned a lot of things.
Would you agree that in their initial fight, you would agree Garou is the dominant combatant in that like engagement? Even if Metal Bat is tanking everything he's throwing at him, he's not getting any hits, and
then no,
he's missing everything.
If you phrase it or say it differently, then we can get to an agreement. But I don't think he's a dominant combatant, because at the end of the fight, he was the one that was standing up on top, and he managed to make it through the entire fight. So like that's, if you phrase it differently, we can come to an agreement. But I can't say that he was the dominant combatant in the fight.
Okay, let me try and phrase it differently. Well, okay, you would agree that Garou was confidently dodging everything Metalbat was throwing at him. Like, he was laughing at Metalbat. He was saying, "You can't even hit me. How are you still standing?" Like, all that. He was talking shit, right? You would agree with that?
Yep.
My logic is that if a like human Garou, a very weak Garou, like someone who Dark Shine with one shot, if a way weaker Garou can do that to Metalbat, a far stronger Garou should also be able to do that to Metalbat. One who's able to like throw hands with Dark Shine, take hits from Dark Shine. Maybe he didn't like severely hurt Dark Shine. He didn't like, you know, make like he didn't like severely hurt Dark Shine. Like he like made his nose bleed, but he didn't really hurt Dark Shine a lot. But he's still able to like throw hands with Dark Shine, keep up with Dark Shine, counter Dark Shine, all that good stuff. So my logic is, if a way weaker Garou than that Garou can do that, a far stronger Garou should be able to replicate that with a far easier effort. And the thing is, Garou's also going to be getting stronger during the fight, because like, if you see in the Dark Shine fight, Garou's getting rapidly stronger as the fight goes on. Like, it's stated by Dark Shine, he's getting way stronger as the fight goes on. So it's kind of the same as Metalbat, he would also be getting stronger. Except the thing is, Metalbat would start off with like a weaker start point.
Alright, so I disagree with the last 2 points you made. I don't believe that Garou would be getting stronger in the fight, because it's when individuals are pushing him that he goes to that point, is when he gains in power. In the Tank Top fight, we saw that Tank Top presented a threat, but it wasn't that Garou got stronger to defeat Tank Top. He just started using his water stream. So the story has depicted instances or differences between whenever Garou happens to win a fight suddenly. It's not always because he got a power up, sometimes because he's being strategical. So that's the first example of that. I don't believe, from what we've seen, that Metalbat would have the setup to push Garou to a point where he would have to be using his full power or going to a Zenkai state to get stronger in the battle. He would just be using his fundamental rudimentary skills that he has at this power level. On the other hand, we've seen the differences in between Metalbat and the individuals who he fights, from Wrath Obsidian and Senior Centipede to Elder Centipede. We all know the huge differences in between the two, and we also know the hype that even one himself has put on Senior Centipede, saying that Senior Centipede was actually really, really tough, and it would require stronger individuals, even some S-class individuals, to actually beat him. So to see Metalbat get stronger to the point of one-shotting Senior Centipede and then encounter the multiple-fold stronger individual, arguably the person who we agree and argue is probably the strongest dragon, if not second to the strongest dragon, Rover, Elder Centipede. Like, he managed to deal with a centipede, and then we're not talking about any casual thing. I'm pretty sure if we had a conversation about Pure Blood, if we had a conversation about Giant Crow, if we even had a conversation even about some of the stronger guys, maybe even G5, we would not be talking about them surviving multiple hits or multiple encounters with Elder Centipede. Yet Metalbat managed to do that exact same thing. So all I'm simply saying is that Metalbat's ability to increase his growth, like the rate at which he's growing and his level, it's strictly based upon who he's fighting. Whether it's Elder Centipede, where he'll be up there and tough, or from Senior Centipede. So I don't think that Garou has the ability to just one-shot him and Metalbat not be getting stronger like crazily because of that. Like, the first hit he delivers to him, that's a huge wake-up.
So going back to like Garou like not being able to get stronger during a fight, I'm gonna post a scan. We're using Spiral Garou, right? Like the Garou nearing the end of the fight with Darkshine.
No, we're using
That's the
Garou that fought Darkshine.
Yeah, so like the Spiral Garou, like the one that has the spiral pattern all over his body. That's what we're using, right?
The one that fought Darkshine.
Yeah, that one. So I'm gonna post a scan. You see in the scan that even when Darkshine isn't attacking Garou and Garou's wailing on Darkshine, Darkshine says it's not just his speed, his power is also increasing. So like, it's just a natural thing for that Garou. Like, the more he fights, the stronger he gets. He doesn't, like, he was pushed by Darkshine earlier, yeah, but like, so long as he's like pushing an assault, he'll keep getting stronger.
I disagree with that. This doesn't challenge the fundamental point that I made, the fact that it's Darkshine still the person who he's fighting. Like, there's no point in the fight at which Darkshine's capability changed. As a matter of fact, he even got stronger himself in the fight by using his full power. Garou never fought anybody that was weaker than the base level Darkshine, and Darkshine could even be arguably fighting at a higher level because of the reputation that Garou has had. He started the fight by talking and mentioning about Garou, saying that he knows about what he's been doing, that you're sinning, you have to change. He even tried to give him a whole inspirational a presentation of what it truly means to be a hero and what it truly means to be a villain, and why what he's doing is incorrect and why he has to stand up against him as a righteous hero. He explained that basically. So I don't. Darkshine is one of the strongest threats, as you've claimed, as most people have claimed in this series. Garou confronting him at any point was going to be a huge obstacle, a point that he had to overcome, and we saw the Zenkai that he encountered in the fight.
What was your second point after that first point, like in your last point? What was that? Like
One
the
second.
second point you said?
I gotta get this dog 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, I swear I thought he was strong when he said like Rover is like the second strongest dragon. Everything I thought he was trolling. But is this like a debate or just a discussion?
Alright, my bad. What's up, Akuma? I didn't even know it was you. This is like
this a debate or discussion?
you can hop in if you want.
Sorry. I had to mute myself for a minute. So like, can you like repeat that second point, like after you disputed Garou getting stronger during a fight?
Okay. The other point was Metalbat, emphasizing the fact that we've seen him literally encounter different forms of threats and how quickly his fighting spirit act. Wait, I gotta catch my breath. How quickly his fighting spirit activates to overcome that obstacle or that difference. So like if he's fighting a 15 and he's at a 5 at the moment, he'll increase at a rate of like 3 per second or something like that. While compared to if he's at a 5 and he's fighting a 30, he may increase at a 6 per second or something like that. That's the difference. That Metalbat actively increases his ability in direct accordance to his threat, while Garou has to be pushed to a point to where he cannot beat the individual. That's what happens. Like the guy starts beating down on him, smacking down on him, and then he starts to push through. Then he takes damage. It's almost the exact essence or definition of what we call a Zenkai boost. Like almost near death or about to die, and you push through. That's really been all the instances of when Garou's been like increasing. And there could even be a conversation or a separate debate about which times Garou has actually gotten stronger and which times Garou has just been using what he has and winning through that.
I feel like Garou purposely puts himself in positions like that because if he were to fight at his maximum using his best moves, he really wouldn't gain anything out of it. Does that make sense to you guys?
You have to show me an example where it happened in the series. That makes sense, but I don't think Garou does that.
Okay, so I have.
You know how like in the Hero Hunter where he's like bandaged up and he's basically on the run,
okay,
like all the time.
Yeah.
And he's basically like he got poison or something. They were using all these different tactics to try to take him out.
Mm-hmm.
And he's always fighting like in that position, and he gets like put right at the threshold of dying, and then he comes back. And then he does it again. Like it's a repeat.
Yeah, it's the Zenkai I was talking about. That's when Garou actually gets stronger in power. I think the other times it's just him like using his skill. But what were you gonna say, Dole?
Well, I was just gonna point out that Darkshine explicitly states that like Garou's getting stronger, but like that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter too much. So you know how Metalbat was like near his peak, and after deflecting like the tornado, like Garou like deflected the tornado, he knocked out Metalbat temporarily, and then Metalbat got back up.
And then was about to crush his head.
Yeah, but like he knocked him out for like a moment, even if he got back up to like peak strength in a moment, but like he was down for like a little bit, and Garou was looking at his body, and he turned around, and Metalbat sneaked up behind him. Would you agree that like that half monster Garou, the one that fights Darkshine, a Garou that's way stronger than the Garou that Metalbat fought, would also be able to do that if you like Metalbat?
No,
you don't.
Two reasons. The first reason is because you don't know when Metalbat was gonna get up. You don't know when Metalbat was gonna get up. The second reason is because it's an emotional one. In the current fight, the very same Garou we're talking about, the monster Garou with the spirals already up his face, stopped mid-fight from killing Darkshine. So he would. I have zero reason to believe that he would not take the same hesitation. But since we're talking about like an absolute death versus,
No, sorry, you misunderstood me. I mean, do you think he would also be able to like temporarily knock down Metal Bat after like he deflects that attack? Not like he would like take advantage of like Metal Bat's unconscious state. That was the question. Would he be able to do that same thing if he was like a way stronger Garou?
I don't know. It depends on how strong Metal Bat is at the moment.
Well, we can only go off what we've seen from Metal Bat. Like, even when Metal Bat was getting stronger and faster, Garou wasn't really sweating it. Like he says, "Oh yeah, if I get hit, I'm toast." But his speed, like Metal Bat's speed, wasn't increasing to a point where Garou was like genuinely worried
But
that
it
he
was
was going to get hit.
increasing. That's the whole point, that it was increasing. That's why I said it depends on how strong Metal Bat is. Because sure, at the beginning of the fight, sure, Garou could probably knock him back or knock him out in one hit. Sure, maybe. I'm not sure. I can't tell you yes or no, just like you said. But there could also be a point to where, like I said before, Metal Bat has increased dramatically. Instead of gaining 3 skill points per second, now he's gaining 9 skill points per second. You don't. The stronger Garou is, and the stronger the threat that Garou presents, the stronger and quicker Metal Bat, or the quicker Metal Bat will become stronger.
I would disagree simply because I like to go off what we've definitively seen in the manga, and what we've seen in the manga is that Metal Bat's strength isn't like an insane rapid growth. It's just like it's noticeable. It's noticeable for sure. Yeah, it's noticeable.
No, that's a super downplay. Like, it went from a guy who was literally just smacking doors or smacking like plates on a table or whatever, couldn't even break a mushroom and senior centipede, to smacking the ground and the building across the road cracks in half. That happened. Multiple cars jumped up in the air when he smacked his bat on the ground. That's not small growth. That's not. And that's not even small growth compared to like from the beginning of the Garou fight to the end of the Garou fight. He was dramatic. The building crack happened in the middle of the Garou fight. And that's not small or little incremental growth. That's like vast exponential growth.
That's a fair point. I'm just saying, like, let me try and word this.
So do you guys agree that Metal Bat's fighting spirit only lasts until the fight's finished, and once he recovers, he doesn't have that same level of power, like kind of like an adrenaline rush?
I mean, there's no evidence to show that like he keeps that power. It's just like fighting spirit is like a temporary, really big power boost, but like it should go away after Metal Bat, like, you know, is like
exactly what
the only evidence that we have to say that it goes away is his one statement. He said that I haven't felt this pumped in a long time. So that means that like he probably hasn't been at this power level in a long time. But that doesn't mean that that literally would imply that he's reached that power level before.
No, I was saying like if he's like a 5 and this fighting spirit makes him like a 10, and like once he calms down, does he just go back to a 5?
I would say yes. I would say he doesn't just like keep that like that strength, because if he did, he would be he would be a way stronger S class.
I think that's the fundamental difference between Garou's situation and Metal Bat's.
Agreed.
Yeah, Garou keeps that strength. Like he grows stronger, and then that becomes like his new base strength.
Agreed. But what I'm arguing is that even if he's starting off at a 5, whether he's fighting another 5 or whether he's fighting a 50, he's going to grow in strength. And if he's fighting the 50, the growth will be much more exponential than if he's fighting that 5.
I disagree because we haven't seen that, and you wouldn't be able to prove or disprove that.
We literally have. I just told you the 3 timestamps. When he started fighting Refocidian and Senior Centipede, take what he did there. That he had to smack himself in the face, in the head, in order to jolt up his fighting spirit, because they weren't strong enough to make him grow exponentially. But then when he fought Elder Centipede, right after that point, when he fought Garou, his shit started to blow up in seconds. He went from literally just barely breaking apart Senior Centipede with a single hit after getting smashed. He broke them apart with a single hit, to then having Elder Centipede dodge or be like, oh shit, that was about to smack me. I have to make sure it hits my armor. And then lifting up multiple cars and cracking buildings. Like, those are 2 different exponential growth points. When he fought Garou and Elder Centipede, he grew a lot more in strength. He started to lift cars and break buildings in half. When he fought Senior Centipede, nothing. He had to smack himself just to get it started.
I would just say it's I mean, you have a point there, but I would just say it's a no limits. It's kind of like,
It's not.
a no
I
limit.
never said he was going to become a god. I never said that.
No. I'm saying it's like a no limits fallacy to like assume that he would just like keep growing and growing, and Garou wouldn't just eventually knock him down, because like we haven't seen Metal Bat fight for like. It's weird wording. Like, okay, you go, you like kind of. I'm just thinking.
I get what you're. Let me not say that. If you're implying that it's a straw man to say that his power will continue to grow as the story has shown, I don't agree with that. If we can somehow claim that he doesn't retain some ability or some power without the story telling us and accept that to a certain extent, then we should also be able to acknowledge or at least accept the possibility that if Metal Bat happens to fight somebody, he'll get stronger. Like we've seen that. That's there. We've seen that. It's not crazy to say that if he fights a guy like Elder Centipede, which he did, that he'll be able to fight him like he did. He fought Garou right after Elder Centipede. Like, that was a whole sequence. That wasn't like 1 or 2 pages. That was a whole sequence. Like, and he wasn't just out for the count. He was going to continue to fight Elder Centipede. And he was going to continue to threaten him. And we saw how much stronger he could get. Like, compared to when he was fighting Elder Centipede at the end of the Garou fight. He was cracking a building that he didn't hit. He didn't hit the building and it cracked. And cars lifted up when he smacked the ground. Like, if he did it to Elder Centipede would have to take him more serious. That right there shows a difference in growth. That, like, against Senior Centipede to Elder Centipede, there was a certain power level that Metal Bat was portraying. Then when he fought after Elder Centipede and fought Garou, he showed an entirely different power level. The stronger the threat, the more persistent the threat, the more damage he takes, the quicker and more he grows. So if Garou is a 50, or his current Spiral Garou encounters Metal Bat and he doesn't manage to take him out in the first few hits, that's a problem. He's going to grow really fast.
I would argue that Garou could take like a base non-pumped up Metal Bat out in 1 hit, because if you remember from the VGS, you know how like base Kabuto and base like non-pumped up Metal Bat were fighting, and base Kabuto knocked him out after 3 minutes? Well, Spiral Garou is comparable to like Darkshine, who can beat Carnage mode Kabuto, and Garou can blatantly match Darkshine's strength. So if Garou's just gonna like walk up and smack base Metal Bat, I don't think he can remain conscious enough to like get pumped up. I think Garou's just gonna walk up and take him out in the first hit. And even if he doesn't, I don't think Metal Bat can just overcome Garou's like sheer power and skill at that point. Like, I don't think he can overcome Garou's sheer power or skill.
I think bringing up the VGS actually works against you. Because in the VGS, it told us that we were not able to take into account Metal Bat's fighting spirit. And he still managed to, in his base form, with his base fighting capabilities, to fight a dragon. A complete dragon. There's no point ever at which Carnage Kabuto does not have dragon skill. And probably high dragon skill, even in his base form. His Carnage, or extreme mode, his Carnage mode or whatever, could be pushing him to the high end of high dragon. And that may be hyperbole. Maybe he's just like a true dragon or whatever like that in his Carnage mode. But Goketsu would have trouble fighting Carnage Kabuto. A Flash would have trouble fighting Carnage Kabuto. Atomic would have trouble fighting Carnage Kabuto. Bang would have trouble fighting Carnage Kabuto. Rover would even have trouble fighting Carnage Kabuto. The big boys are not just pushing to the side Carnage Kabuto. And in the VGS base form, Metal Bat managed to deal with them. So imagine with the fighting spirit increment, the one that we've seen, as I already pointed out 2 or 3 times, and we can check it out or pull it up and reread it or whatever. Like, his skill was growing differently when he fought Senior Centipede compared to when he was fighting Garou. Like, he was growing in scale much quicker.
Well, we've seen like human Garou deal with that with like medium difficulty. Like he wasn't really sweating it against Metal Bat. He was
deal
just
with
kind of
Carnage
dodging.
Kabuto?
What, sorry?
You think current Spiral Garou could deal with Carnage Kabuto quite easily?
Well, which Carnage Kabuto? Base? Absolutely. Base Carnage Kabuto? Absolutely.
I can't. You know,
that's a different debate.
He blew away a cannon, right?
I mean, beginning of series Genos' fodder, so.
That fodder blew apart an entire building.
I mean, yeah, Garou would just tank that like Carnage Kabuto does.
Okay, well, Garou can't punch away an entire building.
I mean, he probably can if he's equal. If he's equal in strength to Darkshine, who's stronger than Genos.
Okay, well, Garou hasn't destroyed a building with a punch. Genos has destroyed several buildings with cannon blasts.
Wait, which Genos?
The one that walked into the House of Evolution?
AoE.
That destroyed the House of Evolution?
AoE doesn't like just because like Genos can like make a bigger blast doesn't mean his attack potency is like greater than Garou's. Like he can make a bigger blast, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's better. That just means he has more like area of effect.
No, I'm talking about if Garou punches a building, that we've never seen a building collapse because he did that. But we've definitely seen a building be destroyed because Genos shot something at it. So whether you can say that, Garou still punches hard, it doesn't matter. Genos destroyed a building. So if Carnage Kabuto can blow that away with his breath in his base form, no, I don't think current Spiral Garou would have an easy time or would just manhandle Carnage Kabuto in his base form, let alone in his Carnage form. And Metal Bat managed to deal with that individual in the VGS without his fighting spirit before getting defeated. So once again, I don't think bringing up the VGS helps your argument. 100% Metal Bat should be able to deal with most of these people without fighting spirit, as you just pointed out, off bat. And if he has fighting spirit, he's gonna get to it. It just depends on how strong the threat is. And as much as you're hyping up Spiral Garou and giving him all this hype and power or whatever, it's gonna come back against you because that means that increases the growth rate at which Metal Bat gets stronger.
I think we just have like a fundamental disagreeing on like scaling in One Punch Man is the thing. So like I'm trying to think. Well, I would just go back to the point like Metal Bat can't reasonably hit Garou.
Do you remember the first fight?
Yeah, he didn't hit Garou.
Remember what happened at the end?
Garou got distracted. Yeah.
Okay.
That trick. Oh, so by the way, that trick wouldn't work twice because Garou's already seen it, so you would expect it. You would expect it from Metal Bat again.
Okay. All right.
So he got distracted by Zenko the first time. Like, so what happened was Garou was like commenting on like, you know, I can take down the association. Zenko calls out to. Yeah. So yeah, and that trick wouldn't work twice on Garou.
Okay. You remember what Garou was saying when he tried to deflect the tornado, right? Like, oh, his bones were shaking and everything, right?
I mean, he was just commenting on like, oh wow, this bat is really fucking strong.
Yeah, that attack.
If I would have been hit. Well, he still deflected it easily. It's just like his hands were shaking a bit. I don't think that means too much.
Really? So your bones are shaking, but it doesn't mean too much.
I mean, his bones were shaking, just like his hands were kind of shaking. Actually, I can let me go look at it.
If I recall, the last person who was shaking because of an attack called it a power up. I think getting smashed. Yeah, I think getting.
Oh my god! You bring up that Vakuma shit again?
Yeah, bro. Like, Pooty got smashed, started shaking, and then like called it a power up. So if Garou's out here shaking, bro, that's a pretty significant attack.
Well, yeah, but like, current Garou would just have an easier time with that. He probably wouldn't even comment on how strong he is because like he's fought someone who hits harder than Metal Bat in Darkshine.
All right, well then let's bring it around to another fundamental point then, or to restate a fundamental point then. I'm saying that now, even with the arguments that you've brought to my plate to assist me, that I think we now have more proof to say that current Garou and most other individuals who don't have special lethality or special attacks probably can't one-shot Metal Bat. Whether it's with the Senior Centipede example, whether it's with the examples you brought up with the VGS in regards to Carnage Kabuto and Metal Bat being able to fight without fighting spirit for an extended time period. Since Garou is so much stronger than Metal Bat, he will indefinitely increase the rate at which he grows in strength. And because he cannot one-shot him, or I don't think it's reasonable to believe or imply that he would just be one-shot by a flurry from current Garou, that I think Metal Bat has a good chance of making this a great fight and a slim chance, if not a possibility, of actually winning, depending on the extent of his fighting spirit and what Garou manages to do.
I suppose if you think that his fighting spirit can push him that far, then I guess I can't really disagree that he wouldn't give Garou like somewhat of a tough time.
Well, what is
So
that far? You made that like seem really vague and like
far enough to give him like a good fight is what you're saying. Like far enough to give him a great fight. That far, like his fighting spirit pushes him that far.
And that's unreasonable.
No, I'm saying it's not unreasonable if you believe that fighting spirit can go that far.
Is it unreasonable to believe fighting spirit can go that far?
Well, we haven't seen it gone that far, so like
It's gone pretty far.
we haven't seen it go that. Yeah, but not that far. Like it's gone pretty far against like human Garou, but like we've established, current Garou is like orders of magnitude stronger than like human Garou.
I feel like you've danced around this, so let me ask you directly. Are you implying that there's a limit to fighting spirit?
I would say yes. I think so, yeah.
Okay.
From what we've seen, yeah.
What have we seen that would imply there's a limit to fighting spirit?
Well, we've seen Metal Bat sneak attack Garou, and he stops, and then Garou punches him down, and then like after that, even like a smack from Zenko knocks him out. When like he's walking to fight Elder Centipede again, and then Zenko smacks him on the back of the head, and he's just knocked out.
There's plenty of arguments in regards to that.
After the damage Garou gave him, a smack from Zenko can knock him out. If he like doesn't land that sneak attack, he's just like fizzles out. That sneak attack was like his absolute last ditch effort. They just jumps back to full power and then he like fizzles out.
Or
from what we've seen,
that was the fight, and he had nothing else to be pumped up for.
Well, he still had Elder Centipede to fight. Like Elder Centipede was still like. What? Sorry.
Go ahead.
Elder Centipede was still rampaging through the city, and after Garou walks away, Melbat's like, "Oh shit, I need to go protect the father and son." He starts walking slowly to the centipede. Zenko's trying to stop him. He tells Zenko to go home. Then Zenko like smacks him on the back of the head, like a little girl smacks him on the back of the head, and he collapses.
Yeah, but this isn't a limit on fighting spirit. It's a limit on Metal Bat's body. Like I said before in the beginning, we mentioned it. If you're able to do enough damage to Metal Bat or like kill him or knock him out with one hit, fine, you win. I've never once said that Metal Bat was unkillable or that fighting spirit stops him from dying. We've agreed to since the beginning that if you're able to one-shot Metal Bat, it's fine. But I've used several instances now and several examples to help solidify the fact that not even Carnage Kabuto in a superior state in Metal Bat without fighting spirit can one-shot him. And if Puri Puri can deal with a somewhat similar Garou, it's not that much farther away from the current Garou, he can deal with a flurry from him, then it's not crazy to believe that Metal Bat will be able to survive a flurry from current Garou right now. Definitely not. So that's all I'm saying. Like, yes, if you beat him enough, he can die. He may not be able to keep going. And that's what happened. He got beat enough. He fought a Raphosidian, Senior Centipede, Elder Centipede, Garou, a dragon, and 3 demons. How many heroes right now in the current arc have fought a dragon and 3 demons? Probably like the majority of the guys. And that's their entire setup for the entire story. They fought a dragon and 3 demons. And Garou fought that in one instance in one go. So, sure. That's fine. I really would not expect any more of the heroes to be able to beat 3 dragons or fight 3 dragons and a demon. Or excuse me, 3 demons and a dragon and be good to go, be fine. That's not saying anything bad about fighting spirit. But I think it's hyping it up. Like, he was literally getting his ass beat by 2 demons, and then he managed to fight 3 demons and a dragon. That's nothing but accolades and hype for old boy. Nothing. Like, Metal Bat did amazing with that.
Okay, I will say the Garou that knocked down Puri Puri is definitely not the same Garou that like Spiral Garou. He got way stronger between Puri Puri and that point, because like Garou was asleep, which like he's weaker when he's asleep. or like not weaker, but like he's not like as sophisticated. He doesn't use his fighting skill. But even like putting that aside, he gets way stronger like during the Darkshine fight. Like when he's pummeling on Darkshine and Darkshine's blocking, Darkshine comments on like he keeps getting faster. It's like an entire horde of martial arts pummeling against him. Then when he goes Spiral, he keeps getting stronger. So like the Garou that fought Puri Puri is way stronger than the Garou we're using against Metal Bat. I would not say they're like similar at all.
They're literally in the same fight. They're nowhere near dissimilar as the one that fought Rover or the one that fought whatchamacallit, Orochi, or the one that even fought Metal Bat back then, or the one that fought Watchdog Man. The Garou that fought Puri Puri is the closest to current Rover, or excuse me, is the closest Garou. So if you want to imply that that Garou doubled his strength, did Garou double his strength by fighting Darkshine?
I would say yes.
That's
like
crazy.
Unironically, yes. He got way stronger in the side of Darkshine.
That's
way stronger.
That's crazy.
I mean, Garou's boost, like Garou's strength.
You know, Darkshine didn't one-shot him, right? Like never. Like even when he was asleep, Darkshine didn't one-shot him. Like that's not doubling the strength that you have.
Darkshine was holding back against Garou at the beginning of this.
Sure, because he didn't use his full power. That's not holding back.
That is like he was holding back his full power. So he was holding back.
That's not what that is. You're telling me that all these individuals, bro, that's not what that means. Using your full power and holding back are two different things. You can fight and then use your full power at the end, just like Darkshine was doing. You're not going to tell me that Darkshine wasn't trying for half the fight.
I don't understand what you're saying. Like Darkshine was holding back. He wasn't using his full strength against Garou at the beginning of the fight. Ergo, he was holding back against Garou at the beginning of the fight.
Okay, I'll say it clearly. The phrase holding back does not imply the normal use of power. When you're normally fighting and normally putting your effort into it, you're not going to be using your full strength. No individual does that, especially not in shonen manga. The trope in shonen manga, which is the most common thing done in most mangas, and what happens to be done in One Punch Man most often, is that the individuals fight normally, and they happen to go into their full power. Same thing with Genos, the same thing with Flashy Flash, the same thing with Flashy Flash is a bad example. He verbally said he's holding back. And matter of fact, that's a good example. These individuals are verbally saying they're holding back. And I'm going to name examples of individuals who are verbally giving the exact and clear signal that they're holding back. Whether it's a My Mask, whether it's Flashy Flash literally saying that he's holding back, or Saitama. All these individuals often and clearly hold back. And whether it's physically drawn and implied with a My Mask, whether it's verbally said with Flashy Flash, or whether it's the principle of the character like Saitama. These individuals, One and Murata make it known these individuals are holding back their power. But people fighting normally is not holding back. There's a difference between fighting normally and then using your full power and holding back in a fight and then fighting normally. Those are two different things. Three different things.
I think I kind of understand what he's saying. Like, you could be in your maximum state, but it doesn't mean you're using like everything you have in that state.
Yo, what's up?
That's fine, I guess. That's fine, I guess.
Yeah, if you took say you took Frieza, who's in his final form, but he still had like energy reserves that he wasn't using. He's still holding back, even though he's in his best form.
All right, so let's make our final statement so we can move on to the next one.
Sure. Well, basically my thoughts are like just Garou would just never get hit by Metal Bat ever. He would just outskill him to a ludicrous degree because Garou's also gotten more skilled between like his fight with Metal Bat and his fight with like Darkshine. He's gotten more skilled. He's way stronger than Darkshine at like a base level. He's faster, he's more durable, and he has like statements saying he would get stronger like during a fight. That's basically mine. Like Garou stomps, basically. Yep.
All right. To summarize my argument, I believe that with the example that Metal Bat survived an encounter with Carnage Kabuto in the VGS for an extended time period without having fighting spirit, and with the fact that a sleeping Garou in a form right next to Spiral Garou, right before Spiral Garou, as he fought Darkshine, attacked Puri Puri, and he managed to survive, and he's currently in a fine state, not an hour, maybe even 30 minutes after the attack from Garou. As proof to show that Metal Bat would not be one shot or taken out with one flurry or one sequence from a current Spiral Garou. And with that being the case, I believe that using the examples of Fighting Spirit and its amplified growth rate, as we saw with when he fought Raphosidian in Senior Centipede, where he was forced to smack himself in the head in order to boost up or to get Fighting Spirit to be going, because they pose such small of a threat, in contrast to when he fought Elder Centipede and Garou, which he then started to crack buildings by smacking the ground as proof of the difference in rate of growth. So against Senior Centipede and Raphosidian, he grew at a much smaller rate because of the threat that they posed, compared to Garou and Elder Centipede, which posed a much greater threat, in which he grew exponentially in a much smaller time period. That goes to show that the increased level of danger that Garou currently poses in the spiral state only serves to amplify the rate at which Metal Bat would grow using his Fighting Spirit, which allows, or hopefully, or ideally would permit Metal Bat to have a great fight, if not a victory, slim victory up against current Garou.
Alright.
Alright.